Morning everybody. Got something pretty exciting happening today, which will be later today. It has to do with that stone wall that we talked about in the last video. Yeah, you can guess as much as you want until up to the point we actually talk about it. So I'll reveal what we're doing later. First, we have to get sheep fed. So you know the drill. Bales, we're feeding out some hay, and we're gonna fill up the feeders as well with some grain. I won't bore you too much with it. We've done a lot of feeding in the last few videos. So I've taken 3 out to the main mob we're doing use, 2 bales out to the weaner lambs, and then I think we're filling up just one of the feeder boxes with some grain as well. So we'll jump into that, smash that out, and then we'll move on to the exciting thing that's happening today. Rightio, finished feeding the hay out to those 2 mobs. So now we're going to fill up both the feeders. So there's one out with the main Dohne mob, and then there's one with those 50 Dohne ewes that had the white Suffolk ram with them. So once we've done that, then we'll hop into something more interesting. Rightio, out here at the first mob of sheep. So this is the 50 or so ewes that had the white Suffolk ram out with them. So we are just filling up this feeder. It's already got a little bit in it. I don't know if Dad realised how much it's in it, because I don't think we'll fit this whole bag in there. Anyway, so we'll fill this one up. We've actually bought another one of these. Same as this one, it's an Advantage feeder. I think it's the 1800 HD, another one of them. To put out with the weaner lambs. So we'll have 3 now, which will be good, so we can cover 3 mobs of sheep. That's basically, they just all looked a bit hungry. I wish these planes would just bugger off, I swear to God. Yeah, anyway, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by that prick. Yeah, so we'll have 3 feeders to cover 3 mobs of sheep, which would be good. Because that back mob of weaners is just looking a bit hungry. The one that I chucked 2 bales of hay out to today, so that'll just give them a bit extra to keep them sort of topped up between feeds and when there's not much green grass around. Yeah, so we'll fill this up, then we'll fill up that back one, and then I'll show you what we're up to after that.
Yeah, I didn't realise there was still grain in this bin, because there's a bit of rubbish in this grain. It gets blocked up in the feeder system there. So I'm just opening it up a little bit more and let it flow through, and I might leave this one and we'll go and chuck that bag in that other bin. I know it's empty. There's varying adjustments on it. You can open, by doing this handle here, it opens this chute here, but there are other adjustments there as well to let the quantity of grain through.
So what Dad's doing there is just cleaning out the little chutes where the grain comes out. All the feeders come with like this little stick just for unblocking them if they get blocked up with rubbish. So that's what he's doing there, just so that it's all flowing out as it should. Yeah, Cam said I was unblocking the little chutes or whatever I heard him say. It's actually inside the bin. It's completely open along both sides. So the grain or pallets or whatever you got in there falls down. It's got a V put in it like that, and then the grain comes down to the bottom of the trough. But for a better word, this grate here is actually what stops them from getting in and eating too much at one time. They can only get their muzzle in there and lick a little bit out, so that's why they're called a lick feeder, and you can regulate how much feed you want to give them. So because we've got this old barley lying around doing nothing much, we can afford to let them have a little bit more. And you can't really see them, but they're in pretty good nick at the moment. They're in lamb to the white Suffolk. So there's a bit of green pick about, and with this stuff as well, they're doing all right. So yeah, I don't think I'll fill this one up. We'll go out to the other bin and do him.
Alright, that's probably just going to clean out the bottoms of those chutes again and set this all up, and then we'll head back up to the shed.
Rightio, so now we're finished feeding sheep, we can move on to more interesting things. So you remember in the last video, or a couple of weeks back, or whenever it was, the last week, when we were out at that rock, the stone wall, and we were talking about putting the fence in there, and I can't remember if Dad said or if I said about how we were gonna, Dad wanted to bring the bulldozer out from his work and push a track out alongside that wall so that we can get a tractor and a ute and whatever down there without getting stuck in rocks and all that sort of rubbish. and yeah, he wanted to do that. Well,
it's here. Alright, so as I said, we've got the bulldozer here. So this is from Dad's work. When he's not on the farm, he's an earth mover, as we've said before. So I'll give you over to him, and he can tell you about the dozer and sort of what our plan, or what his plans are for the time we've got it for.
Yeah, g'day viewers. I'm hiring the works dozer before it changes hands from this company to the next, and I'm allowed to do a bit of work on the farm with it. Not much, not as much as I'd like anyway. So I've known this dozer for 30 odd years, before Rog bought it, well after Rog bought it. It's a late 80s model. I think they were made in 1988 and they finished in 1998. I think he got it in 96. So he's had it all that time. He's done a power of work. It's got as you can imagine, it's got a few hours on it. He and I used to do a lot of making dams and whatnot. He'd push me on his old Terex TS14 scraper and vice versa, and then we'd go out and I'd clean out dams with this thing, and then he got involved with tree ripping with the crowd midway that grew blue gums for the paper industry over in Japan, which happens to be a plantation next to us that never really come to anything, but yeah, we've done a multitude of work with it. It's been a great old dozer for the amount of hours that's on it. So we're just going to have a bit of a play. We're going to clear a bit of a fence line out the back, cut a bit of a drain through one of the paddocks, or maybe two, and I might push up a couple of rock heaps that have been giving me the scours over the last 40 odd years of being here. So yeah, we'll wally out the back and see how much of a mess we can make in the wet.
Alright, well there you go. Dad forgot to mention that it's a D7H. So, how many thousand hours do you reckon you've spent in it?
I don't know, probably, who knows, probably done about 40 odd thousand hours between Rog and I. They've probably done more than me, so I'm probably 15,000 hours I suppose between all the tree ripping and the garden pushing. We did a lot of quarry work for different quarries, so yeah, we've done a bit in it. It was his pride and joy.
So yeah, we'll see what we get up to with it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I used to go to work with Dad when I was a young fella, and sit in the cab with either Dad or Rog. So it looks smaller than what I remember it, but oh well. I've got a few hours in there myself. But we'll get it out there and hopefully not make too much mess, but see how we go. Rightio, Dad's on his way down the track now in the dozer. So we're out in this paddock where we put the 3 bales of hay this morning. As he was saying, I think he wants to, there's some piles of dirt and crap over there he wants to push out or into the rocks. and then move some rocks, he said. I'm not exactly sure. Then he's talking about putting a drain in. There is so much work we could do with this dozer. We could have it for like a year and probably still need more time. But yeah, I think the main goal is to push that track in that rocky paddock next to the fence. And I think Dad's pretty keen on getting a drain sort of set up in this paddock here because it holds a lot of water. Or it currently is. Had a lot of rain once again. So once he gets down here, we'll let him get into it. He's got his earth moving boots on. He had to go up to the house and put them on. I don't think he could do it without them, apparently. So once he gets down here, we'll see what he does. And I'm just an innocent bystander, basically. I'll just be trying to get some good footage for you. you go, what a beast. So Dad's just pushing this pile of rocks into that rocky area over there, which we don't do anything with. This should just make it a bit easier. You were saying when you're doing headlands in this section, because it's quite narrow, going up to where my ute is in the gate. So I don't know if he's going to push that little pile of rocks in as well over there, and there's another pile up the back. We'll see what he does. You might get pretty excited about this, so we'll see what happens. So what Dad's doing now, he's pushed all those rocks up, as you can see over there. He's just smoothing out this area. There's going to be a bit of a dip, I think. But with this padding, it doesn't matter. We still have to plough it for raised beds. So there'll probably still rocks here, I think. I can still see rocks. But we'll just pluck them out over the years as they pop up. So I'm not sure what Dad's going to do about this section here, because it's going to hold water. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Rightio, Dad's been going for a little while. He's pushed a few, yeah, how many piles? 3 piles of rocks up now. So now he's just pushing these few piles into 1 pile just to tidy up this paddock. We're giving ourselves a bit more area for cropping. He was talking about doing the drain in this paddock today, but it's starting to get a bit late in the arvo. So we might finish up in this paddock, pushing these rocks, and then take the bulldozer out to that back paddock and get it ready for tomorrow when we make the track alongside that rock wall, and Dad wants to make a few other little tracks in that paddock as well, just to make it a little bit easier to get around in it. And then he was talking about pushing more rocks up in a paddock over next to the blue gum plantation, over where some cows are at the moment, and also putting this drain in tomorrow. So don't know how much we'll get of that done, but I'm sure he'll give it a red hot crack. So we'll, yeah, finish this paddock up and run the bulldozer out to that back paddock. Old ram's horn, off one of the merino rams from back in the day probably. And a ram's skull. rock's probably been buried for millions of years till today. Got woken up. Still half of it in the ground. Bloody huge. Don't know if you'll ever pick it up on the camera. You can see all the years where like scarifiers and ploughs have like worn into the top of it there. So, interesting. Into another paddock, and Dad's decided that more rocks need to be pushed. It's starting to get a little bit out of hand. At this rate, we won't actually get the jobs we need to get done. There's so many rocks on this farm, we could be here for years and still have to push more. I think he's just tidying up this little area so we can like use the paddock a bit, because it's sort of a section in between the rocks he's moving at the moment and all that long grass behind him. You can actually go through there, I think, with implements to sow a crop. So I think he's just trying to push it all together so then we can just use that whole area. How'd you go?
Yeah, alright. Not too bad for an old bloke and an old dozer.
How much more are you gonna, how many more rocks are you gonna push?
I might muck around here tomorrow a bit, but we'll go and do that fence line, get it out of the way. We can sort of have a bit of a play tomorrow and maybe again next weekend, because I've got this for a little while, so it'll work out alright. Very good.
Well, there you go, plenty more D7 action to come. Yeah, so basically just spent the day, or half the day, pushing piles of rocks around into rock barriers and cleared up some of the paddocks a little bit. So tomorrow we'll come back, as Dad said, and we'll try and push a track next to that stone wall where we want to put a fence, and I think he was going to make some other tracks out there just for getting around. Is that right? Yeah. But we'll leave that for another video. So I hope you enjoyed watching the dozer do some work, something a bit different for you. And yeah, any questions, leave them in the comments, and we will catch you in the next one. All right.